Okay, cool. I also have a Spotify playlist. So if you guys want to listen to some music, I'm going to drop it in the chat right now. And since you guys will be on mute, you can listen to it without, everyone listening to it at the same time. Awesome. So I made that available to you guys. And anyways, my name is Sophie. If you don't know me already, I will be teaching you guys a 45-minute vinyasa yoga flow class today. It's going to be kind of energizing, but also very relaxing. I have a frog in my throat, I apologize. But it should be a fun way to kind of end our week and, cleanse ourselves, cleanse our minds to get ready for the next week. So this is a yoga class. So again, like I said, making sure to have some water, a yoga mat, maybe a block or block-sized object like a book or a little container, something like that. Absolutely not necessary, but if you want to have it. Yeah, and then just, of course, this is a virtual class, so listening to your body is very important. It's important in yoga anyways. And just take any modifications that either I give you or that you know for yourself that you just want to take a step back. And I will also be staying back after class if you guys want to chat or ask any questions, have any comments, concerns, anything like that, I will be here. And then I also have to read an informed consent, so I'm going to do that real quick. So in order to make these classes as really accessible as possible to our participants, we'll be using a verbal warning and assumption of risk at the beginning of class. Participation in this online class is voluntary. Physical activity programs may result in injury, and by participating, you assume the risk of injury that may result from your participation. We strongly recommend that you participate from a space that is suitable for this activity. For example, make sure that you've moved any nearby furniture and potential hazards. If you're participating in a yoga class or a class that involves laying on the ground, we recommend using a mat, or if you don't have one, a carpeted area. Participants are encouraged to stop if they experience any pain or injury and should seek appropriate medical advice or care as needed. William & Mary Health and Wellness strongly recommends that each participant have an annual physical exam and follow the health advice of your healthcare provider before participating. All right, now that is all out of the way, I'm going to get started. So make sure that you have removed all your socks, find a comfortable place on the mat, and we're going to get started. So when you're ready, we're just going to find a comfortable standing space in the middle of our mat. We're going to start by finding our strong mountain Ortadasana pose, and this is somewhere that we're going to go a lot of times throughout our practice today. It should be a place of strength and stillness, maybe calm. And by finding our mountain, we're going to start by finding the 3 points of the foot, maybe rolling between them and then finding stillness. We're going to lengthen up through both of our legs. We're going to make sure that we keep a micro bend in our knees, so we're not constantly squatting, but we just have a little relaxation in our knees throughout our practice today. We're going to lengthen up through the spine, maybe feel a whoosh of energy coming up the front and falling down like a waterfall down your back. Externally rotating those shoulders and making sure that our heart is nice and open, shining in front of us today. Good. And maybe we find a comfortable gaze in front of us, a soft gaze, or maybe we close our eyes for a moment as we start to think of our breath. And maybe slipping into that role of the observer, just noticing where our breath is today without any judgment, just being kind to ourselves and noticing where our breath is manifesting in our body today. And then maybe starting to slow down or deepen our breath as we start to notice it a little bit more. Slowly and deeply filling our lungs to their maximum point of being filled, and then exhaling and letting all of it go. Breathing lots of love in and lots of love out. Good, and we're going to do a little bit of stepwise breathing here. So when you're ready, we can exhale all of the air in our lungs We're going to inhale for 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 3, 2, 1. Inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good, and when you're ready, you can just continue with a normal breath cycle. And if you want to find this breathing or pranayama practice at any further point in your practice today, you can feel free to do so. Otherwise, just finding very cleansing inhales and exhales at your own pace. And maybe starting to think of an intention for today's practice. Anything that you think will help to guide your practice today. Anything that will nourish your practice just a little bit more, make it a little bit more sweet. And this can be any sort of mantra, it can be a person, a place, a song, anything you want to dedicate today's practice to. And if you'd like to borrow mine, if you're having a little bit of difficulty finding one, I'm going to be focusing on working in, not working out. That's what yoga is all about. Oh, that rhymed. Okay. So when you're ready, we can bring our hands to heart center. Create lots of love. We're going to take a big inhale together to lock in that intention. And exhale together to let go of everything that is not currently on our mats today. Wonderful. And just keeping that nice, strong intention and that nice, strong breathing that we set for today's practice for the next 45 minutes. Good. And so we're going to bring in our feet today so that they're less than hip width apart. They're going to be nice and touching. We're going to send our arms up, maybe grow that extra inch, lengthening through our spine, and slowly tilt over to the right side. Feeling a bit of a little of straightening and lengthening in that left side of your body. Trying not to crunch, but rather lengthen to the side. And back up to center. And slowly over to the second side. And back up to center. Maybe do this one more time over that first side. Lengthening over, trying just to tilt from the upper body. And back up. And exhale to the second side. And back up to center. Good. And we're just going to come into Steeple Mudra. So our hands are going to look like this, but they're still above our head. And we're just going to make tiny little circles on the ceiling. Maybe your gaze goes up to the ceiling. And once again, this is just our upper body moving. Maybe reverse the direction. And then find stillness once again. And when you're ready, we can bring back our stance to hip width apart and slowly swan dive down into a forward fold. This is our first forward fold of the day. So make it count. Remembering to inhale and exhale deeply here. And relax any head or neck tension. And we're going to do hands to feet, or I like to call it gorilla. So 1 foot at a time, you're going to lift up the toes and just gently slip in your hand underneath. And then do that for the other foot as well. Again, relaxing your head and your neck. Maybe you want to shift your weight between the feet. Maybe you want to massage your hands with your feet or your feet with your hands. I know that sounds weird, but it's kind of nice. And when you're ready, you can gently remove one hand and then the other, placing them back on the mat. Big inhale. And on your next exhale, we're going to reverse swan dive all the way back up. Hands through heart center. Good. And at this point, if you would like to get a block, you can grab a block, or you don't need to use it. And we would be putting it between our quads. But if you don't want to use it, that's okay too. We're going to do our chair pose. I'm going to show you from the side. So chair pose, we're just going to inhale together, and then exhale, sit back as if you're sitting in a chair. So whenever you want to exhale into this pose, we're going to stay here for a few breath cycles here until we really create some fire in those quads. And making sure to lengthen up through the spine, but we're not cranking up our neck at all. We're just letting it fly with the rest of the spine here. Engaging that core. And on your next exhale, you can press away from the mat. Good. We're going to do this one more time. If you'd like to do the exact same thing that you just did, feel free to do that. If you'd like to, you could come up onto your toes and then go down. It's up to you though. So when you're ready, we're going to inhale together. And on your exhale, send those hips down and back. Sit back in your chair. Remembering to lengthen through the spine. And engage that core. If you'd like to go up onto your toes, you can feel free to do that. It's a little bit of a challenge. You can also let your hands come above. That's also another little bit of a challenge here. I'm going to stay here for one more slow breath cycle. And when you're ready, we can exhale back up and come back onto our heels. Good. If you want to roll out your ankles, just shake them out a little bit. Also, I'm not going to be doing water breaks, but I'm going to drink some water. So if you want to drink some water at the same time, feel free to do that. Or just water throughout the practice. It's important. Awesome. So we're going to come to the tops of our mat. And we're going to find a little bit of a warrior two and then a pyramid sequence. So we're going to be hitting a lot of different things. It's going to be a nice, relatively fast-paced flow. So coming to the top of our mat in our strong mountain pose, we're going to engage the core and send that right foot back into our warrior two. Good, so our hips are a little bit out to the side, but not completely to the side. So just sort of a 45-degree angle here. And when you're ready, you can inhale your arms so that they're parallel to the mat. Remembering to be breathing throughout all of this. Good. And when you're ready, we can flip that front hand and slowly send it to the sky. Lengthening up. Maybe bending a little bit deeper into the mat. And when you're ready, we can flip that hand and send it back. We're going to tuck in that left arm, place it onto our quad, and then let the right arm just be sort of in a line so that if I placed a ball at the top of your hand, you could just roll gently down. This is extended side angle here. And when you're ready, we can come back up into our warrior two and straighten that front leg. That must feel good. It feels good on this end. So when you're ready, we can start to sort of tilt a little bit forward. And when you can't reach anymore, we're just going to come down into our triangle. Your block may come in handy if you can't go all the way down, or maybe you're on your toes, or sorry, on your fingers. Good. And we can rainfall down that right hand so that both of our hands are on the mat, or our fingers are on the mat, or on a block. And twisting through our spine, we're going to lift the left arm up. Bring the gaze to the opposite wall. And rainfall down that hand again. And send the right one up to the sky. And engaging that core, we're slowly going to come back up to our standing triangle. Maybe take one more bend in our warrior two here. Big inhale, big exhale. And we're gonna bring our hands to heart center and fly back up to our mountain. Good. So that was one side. We're gonna go on to the other side so that we don't feel all imbalanced. So once again, starting at the top of our mat, nice and strong. Engage that core and send that left foot back. In our warrior two here, we're gonna inhale our arms up so that it's parallel to the mat. Good, and then flip that right hand and slowly send it to the sky, lengthening up through that entire right side of your upper body. And flip that hand and send it back. Good, we're gonna tuck in that right hand, or that right elbow, and send it to the quad, and the left goes overhead. For extended side angle here. Good, and when you're ready, we can bring our hands back, maybe cartwheeling them back to parallel, and then straighten up through that right knee. And when you're ready, we can start to reach over the right side. When you can't reach anymore, you're going to tilt over. Or if you just heard my hip hop, that was pretty loud. And here our gaze can be down at the mat, it can be at the wall in front of us, or if your cervical spine is nice and healthy, you can look up to the ceiling. Good. When you're ready, we can rain fall down that left hand. Both hands are on the mat. And then we twist over to the right side. Breathing is so important here. I know it's easy to just kind of stop breathing, but it's so much better if you do. And rain fall down that right hand. And lift the left up. Remembering to breathe nice and deep. Good, and engaging that core, we're gonna come back up to standing in our standing triangle. Once again, my hip is popping. And come back into our warrior two stance, nice and strong. And we'll bring our hands to heart center and float back up to mountain. Wonderful. Maybe shake it out, maybe grab some water. And we will be meeting at the same spot at the top of our mountain once again. We're going to do our pyramid. So once again, hip width apart stance. We're just going to step back for a comfortable, middle. It's a little bit less wide than the warrior two stance. And we are now on train tracks, lengthening up. We're going to bring our hands above, and lengthen up through both arms, through the spine. Engage the core, and slowly start to hinge at the hip crease until our pinkies touch the mat. And when your pinkies touch the mat, you can bring your hands so that they're framing your foot. And relax your head, relax the neck. Maybe you even want to shake your head yes and shake your head no. And here you can stay absolutely still, or if you'd like to, you can find some dynamic movement. And then come back to stillness. We're going to bring our palms to touch once again, lengthening up through the back, and come back up to standing. Nice and controlled. We're going to bring our hands in front of us. We're just going to peel back on the left side first, so that we're twisting through our rib cage. And then peel back up to center. And then peel over to the right side. This may be a new sensation for you. And that's okay. We're going to peel back up to center. And then peel back again on the left. Maybe find that we can go just a little bit deeper into the spinal twist. And then peel back up to center, hands at heart center, and float back up to mountain. Maybe shake it out a little bit. And then we're going to find the other side. So back in mountain, nice and strong. Cleansing breath. We're going to send our left foot back in our pyramid stance. Lengthen up both of our hands, palms to touch. Lengthening up through the spine, maybe grow an extra inch. Engage the core and start to hinge. Once again, once our pinkies touch the mat, maybe we frame our foot with our hand, find some dynamic movement. And then finding stillness once again, we bring our palms to touch, lengthen up, and meet you back in standing pyramid. Good. We're going to bring our palms in front of us once again and peel back on the right side first. So we're finding the spinal twist once, and then we do it again later to get a little bit deeper. We're going to peel back up to the front, and then gently peel back on the left. Once again, this is a new open sensation, but just breathe into it. It'll get a little bit less novel the more we do it. And then peeling back up to center, and peel back on the right. Maybe able to twist just a little bit deeper this time. And then peel back up to center. Hands at heart center. And then float back up to the top of our mountain. Good. Maybe give it a little shake it out. Anything, maybe adjust your clothing. Grab some water. We're going to get into a few balancing stretches here. Starting first with Eagle, which is my personal favorite. I absolutely love Eagle. We're going to start in the middle of our mat, engaging that core, lengthening up through the spine, hands at heart center to begin. Good. We're going to shift our weight into the left leg first. We're going to bring the right up into a 90-degree angle, flexing that foot. And then we're going to bend through that left knee and then start to cross over. Good. If you want to stay here, that's wonderful. If you also want to kickstand your foot, that's also acceptable. You can also find a bind if you feel nice and good here. And our hands come up like this. And since our right leg is on top, our left arm is going to go underneath. Or if you just want to stay right here or hands at heart center, that's also wonderful. And maybe just sink a little bit deeper into the bend of your knees. And also remembering to lengthen up through the spine so you're not crunching in, but rather lengthening upwards. One slow cleansing breath cycle here. It's challenging, but it's wonderful. And on your next exhale, let's bring our hands together and maybe uncross our legs safely with lots of control. Back to mountain. Good. Nice and quick. We're going to move on to the left side. We're going to shift over to the right, bringing our weight onto the right leg, and lift up the left. Find a significant bend in that right knee, and then start to cross. And then once again, our left leg is up this time, so our left arm goes under. And then bend just a little bit deeper into that standing pose here. This is Eagle or Garudasana. Engaging that core. Breathing nice and deep. And when you're ready, you can start to uncross those hands and uncross the lower body. Send it back to mountain. Once again, maybe shake it out a little bit. Wonderful. This is a nice, fun one. So next we're going to stay in the middle of the mat here. And then just take a micro step forward with the left leg first. We're going to do our balancing stick or warrior three. So engaging that core, And then starting to flex through that right foot, keeping a micro bend in the left knee. We're just going to slowly hinge at the hip crease. You don't have to hinge all that much. If you just want to stay nice and vertical like this, you could do that. Or you can find a more generous hinge. Breathing nice and slow and deep here. Lots of love in, lots of love out. Wonderful. And when you're ready, you can start to unhinge. Back up to standing. And roll out the feet. Good. We're going to do this on the other side. So taking a micro step forward with the right leg this time. Engaging the core. Flexing through the left foot. We're going to start hinging. Nice and strong. Remembering to breathe. When you're ready, we can start to unhinge, nice and controlled. And back to our mountain pose. Wonderful. Good. So when you're ready, we're going to maybe find a 90-degree turn here so that we can have a nice wide stance. We're going to go into wide-legged forward fold. So any comfortable wide stance, our toes are facing forward. And we can bring our hands to our hip creases, or you can bring them to heart center or to the side, wherever kind of speaks to you right now. We're going to engage that core and slowly start to flat back, maybe pausing through tabletop. And then continuing on our journey, letting our hands maybe come down to the mat. And either work on bringing yourself a little bit closer to the mat, or you can just press yourself away. And maybe if your block is within arm's reach, maybe you can reach for that. Maybe it'll help. Breathing nice and deep, relaxing your head. Maybe you want to walk your hands over to one side and then the other. If you're doing that, I'll let you know when to switch. If you're on one side, let's walk our hands through center and then over to the right. Breathing nice and deep. And then walking your hands back to center. Engaging your core and placing your hands wherever speaks to you. Maybe come back up to standing, maybe pausing through tabletop if you can. And then continuing up on your journey. Wonderful. And then once you're here, maybe just heel toeing it together. So you're back in a comfortable standing position. Maybe grab some water. And our last balancing pose today will be our Vrikshasana or tree pose. Another one of my favorites. So we're going to start in the middle of our mat, bring our hands to heart center, slowing down that heart rate. We're going to shift our weight over to the left leg first, and then bring in the right, maybe just take off the heel. And we're going to externally rotate that right leg, or that right knee, trying to keep our hips still to the front so they're not twisted out to one side. If you'd like to stay here, you can stay here. You can also bring it up to your calf or above your knee, maybe using the help of your hand. Engaging your core here, maybe we send our arms up and we grow some branches. This is a wonderful place to maybe circle back into your attention, into your breathing. Remember, guys, we're working in, not working out. And when you're ready, let's bring our palms back to touch, back through heart center. We're going to start by internally rotating that right knee and slowly sending it back to the sky, not to the sky, to the ground. That would be crazy. And then we're back in our mountain pose. We're going to shift our weight into the right leg this time. Bringing up the left, maybe externally rotating our knee. If you'd like to stay here, that's wonderful. You can also bring your leg somewhere onto your right leg, making sure that our hips are nice and even so they're not over to one side. Maybe we grow some branches. Maybe take a moment to imagine what kind of tree you are. Are you covered with snow? That's pretty. Remember to breathe lots of love in and lots of love out. And when you're ready, you can bring your hands back to touch back through hand center. And then start to internally rotate that left leg and slowly send it back to the mat. Once again, maybe rolling out those joints, maybe shaking them out a little bit. And when you're ready, we're going to either find a comfortable, you can start to find a comfortable seated position on the mat right now, or if you'd like to, you can join me in a Yogi Squat in getting there. So just finding a comfortable stance, just a little bit more than hip width apart. We're just going to squat down deeper than our chair pose, and then just send our elbows into our knees, or right below our knees. This is called Garland Pose or Yogi Squat, and it's a good way to just let ourselves come down into a comfortable seated position. So whenever you're ready. And it's okay if you kind of roll out of it too. That is very normal. Wonderful. So we're just going to take a moment here, not too long, just circle back into our intention. Maybe take a moment to close your eyes. We're not done yet, but we are towards the end of our practice today. Maybe slowing down your heart rate, slowing down your breath. Good. So when you're ready, we're going to find a Dandasana, so just a seated position so that we can extend our legs in front of us, engage our core. We're just going to come down into a Shavasana. Good. We're going to bring our knees up to the sky so that our feet are nice and planted. And then we're going to externally rotate our knees so that we're in a reclined bound angle or a reclined butterfly. Here, once again, you can close your eyes maybe. And every time you exhale, imagine yourself just melting a little bit deeper into your mat. Maybe bring your hands to your hips, maybe along your side, maybe at your heart. And when you're ready, we can use our hands maybe to bring in our knees towards one another so that our soles of our feet are once again on the mat. And we're just going to extend one of our legs and then one of our knees. Maybe we interlace our hands and bring in our knee a little bit close to the chest. This is our wind removing pose. So finding just a little bit of a hamstring stretch, a little bit of a quad stretch. Opening up our knees just a little bit too. And maybe next time you inhale, you bring in your knee just a little bit more, a little bit closer into your chest. And then exhale, maybe we use our left hand to bring over our knee to the left side of our body for a little bit of a spinal twist. Maybe our gaze comes over to our right side of our body, and just a little bit more of a spinal twist. And it's okay if not everything is on the mat, as long as the journey is generally in that direction. Good, and then using our left hand to guide our knee back up to center. Maybe bringing our leg back and extending it out front with our left leg. We're going to do the same thing with the left. So bringing in the left knee, maybe interlacing our arms. And bringing it into our chest for a little bit of a stretch here. And again, next time you inhale, maybe bring it just a little bit closer to the chest. And then on your next exhale, maybe we use our right hand to bring it to the right side of our body for a little bit of a spinal twist. Maybe our gaze comes to the left side of our body. Remember that every time we exhale, we just imagine ourselves just melting a little bit deeper into the mat. And then using our right hand to guide our knee back up to center line, maybe planting the foot back and extending it front with our right leg. And then maybe rolling over to one side and coming up to a comfortable seated position. And maybe coming through our seated position into a tabletop. And in our tabletop, our alignment is so that our shoulders are directly above our wrists and our hips are directly above our knees. And if we were to look between our knees, we can't see our feet because they're right behind them. Good. So starting from our neutral spine, maybe finding an inhale to find a cow. Drawing that navel towards the yoga mat. And then on your next exhale, maybe we find a cat. Drawing that navel up to the ceiling. And then maybe finding a couple more cats and cows at your own pace. Simply remembering to slowly and controlled movement. Good. And then when you're ready, we can come back to a neutral spine. And we're just going to keep our hands and our toes right where they are. Maybe just send our hips forward so that we're in a plank. Maybe you have to adjust your hands and that's okay. And you can stay in your plank as long as you'd like to, Phalakasana. Or if you'd like to, you can just bring yourself down to the mat. We're going to find a Cobra Sequence here. So making sure that our hands are right underneath our shoulder heads and drawing in those elbows towards one another. Our forehead is on the mat. And we're just going to do a baby cobra at first, so no weight in the hands. So on our next inhale, we're just going to bring the upper body off the mat, trying not to crank the neck upwards, but just lengthen through the back of our cervical spine here. And exhale back into the mat. We're going to do this one more time. So on your next inhale, we're going to inhale up. And exhale back down. And we're going to do this one more time and then just transition into a king cobra. So we're going to start, inhale into baby cobra, no weight in the hands. And then using your palms, we're just going to press into the mat and press away for our king cobra. If you'd like to, you can send your gaze over one shoulder and maybe back through center and over to the other side. Inhaling and exhaling, coming back to center. And then maybe we slowly bring ourselves back into the mat. And just relax. Good. And if you want to find a boat pose, we can bring our hands to extend over our side. Maybe bring our knees up or bend our knees to bring our ankles up to the ceiling. Maybe reach for one ankle and then the other ankle, if this is acceptable or accessible to you. If not, that's totally fine. You can just stay right here. If you'd like to, you can just flex upwards a little bit, or hyperextension here. And remembering to inhale and exhale. And when we do come out of this, we're not just letting everything go and smacking into the mat. We're going to slowly lower with lots of control and melt into the mat. Nice. So maybe taking a moment here to just stretch. Maybe plant our palms back into the mat and our shoulders, and slowly come through tabletop into our child's pose. Finding any variation of child's pose that you'd like. You can also find our wide-legged child's pose. You can also bring your hands behind you. And when you're ready, we'll bring our hands back in front. Come back into a tabletop position. And maybe walk our hands back into a hero's pose. And then once again, we find our Dandasana. So this is just a seated pose with our legs extended in front of us. Lots of steps, lots of transition. We're slowly going to engage the core and send our upper body back down to the mat to find our Shavasana or corpse pose. Here we're going to bring our knees up once again so that our feet are nice and close together. We're going to heel toe our feet so that they are the width of the mat, so a bit wider than our hip distance. And we're just going to send the hips over to the right side first. So both of our knees go over to the right side of our mat. Inhaling and exhaling. And if you'd like to, you can bring your eyes to a gentle close. Maybe your general gaze goes over to the left side of your body for another bit of a spinal stretch. Today's practice is heavy on the spine. Once again, maybe our hands are at our sides. Maybe we place them on our abdomen or our heart. And then sending our knees back up to face the sky. And then gently guiding our knees over to the left side of our body. Maybe our gaze comes over the right side. And when you're ready, we can bring our knees back up to center. And then heel toe our feet so that they are back to hip width apart, and just extend your knees, your legs in front of you. We're going to find our final pose for today's practice, which is our corpse pose, our Shavasana. We're going to exhale and just melt a little bit deeper into the Shavasana here. Maybe circling back into our intention that we set for ourselves to guide ourselves through today's practice. Maybe taking a moment in our Shavasana. If your eyes aren't already closed, I recommend that you do so. And just take a moment to just circle back and maybe review the asanas that we did, and notice how your body and your mind and maybe your spirit feel just a little bit lighter after today's practice. So now the time is 6:15. I invite you to stay in your Shavasana for as long as you like. Maybe if you have somewhere to go afterwards, you can just set a little timer on your phone. I'm going to end the call in Shavasana. So if you'd like to, you can stay back or chat with me in another way, or you can just stay in your Shavasana for as long as you'd like. And I'm going to end the practice. Thank you guys so much for allowing me to guide you through your practice today. Namaste.